Hey everybody, welcome back to another Film of the Week. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content channel as of late. This is yet another late video. I meant to put this out on Friday and then Saturday, but I got sick, so I just was not in the right headspace to be putting out content. I did put out some content here or there, but this was put on hold, and I was very eager to check this out because I found out it was available on YouTube. Someone just decided to put this film out on YouTube, and I would want to make sure I check it out before it is lost. So for this week, being the start of this week, actually, we're going to be looking at another one of Kurosawa's films. Akira Kurosawa, of course, which we've talked about many times on this channel. In my opinion, the greatest filmmaker of all time. And we're going to be talking about a very interesting piece within his filmography, which is a follow-up to a film of his that he did previously. That film that we're going to be discussing today is Sanjuro, which is co-written and directed by Akira Kurosawa, and this follows from the film called Yojimbo, which we have talked about on this channel. Very, very important film in crafting the modern Western language that you would come to know in America, as well as being kind of a central pillar to just kind of shaping that of the Western itself into what would become, the type of Westerns that people know and love very much, like spaghetti Westerns more so than anything else. But this came out, Sanjuro, about a year after Yojimbo, and originally was not meant to be that of a sequel. It was meant to be something else entirely. According to the Wikipedia page, it was meant to be an adaptation of the novel Hibe Hayan. I think that's how you say it. My apologies if I butchered the hell out of that. Probably did. But because of the success that Yojimbo had, they decided to incorporate that character that the lead of this film, Toshiro Mifune, played. They incorporate that character once again now into this film, and we have something of a follow-up from Yojimbo. And as the story goes, we follow 9 young samurai at first who are on their own quest based off of information that they had received from their uncle, who is the leader of a clan that they have, and the reason of why the clan exists is because there is corruption that is happening within their village, and their uncle just wants to exploit that and to present the wrongdoings that have been taking place within the higher ups of their village. Their uncle ends up getting captured though, and they're now on their own, and they're plotting a way to try to get their uncle back. And while they're meeting and they're discussing how to get things going, the Ronin that we had followed in Yojimbo, played by Toshiro Mifune once again, appears and pretty much dispels all of what they actually think is truthful and not. And they enlisted his help, and he decides to help them on their quest and finding out the truth while also finding a way to get to their uncle and to ultimately get to the promise of what the uncle wanted to do in the first place, which is to exploit the wrongdoing and the corruption that is happening within this village. So now, thematically speaking, there's an interesting idea here about patience and a lot to do with impulsive behaviors, because a lot of the film takes place in pretty much that of two specific groups, the group of which that Toshiro Mifune's character is with these 9 samurai, and the corrupt. And in both parties, what they are dealing with is their ability or their inability to be patient within varying circumstances. At some points, the characters need to hide for a long period of time and do absolutely nothing, and it's the tension that starts to breed and starts to meld, and ultimately the varying reactions to that. Some people are just wanting so badly to do something based in response to what another party is doing, but a lot of the conflict is psychological. A lot of what is happening is characters doing things in hopes that other characters will respond in certain ways, and then characters have to respond in different ways to put the pressure on the other party. And ultimately, that is what the film is looking to explore, is that of, again about the varying idea of patience and trying to keep that impulsive behavior in check and not do something that is just spiteful or vengeful or just motivated by a specific emotion. It has to be done to where it makes logical sense. And in that, there is something very intriguing, in terms of how it is laying out this information. By pace, Kurosawa himself actually edited this film. I don't know if that's just something that he does regularly, but in this case, he did actually participate as the editor. And and it still carries a lot of that flow, um, a lot of that fiery spirit also that is embedded within a lot of Kurosawa's work. I feel the tension at some points when characters are kind of left to just sit and not really do much of anything, or at times when characters finally are able to make a mark and they're so close to their goal, and there was at any point something can just turn the whole situation on its head. I think that the writing is well fleshed out once again, because Kurosawa and his screenplays are always fascinating. Um, but I will say that I think that in this case, I think that it is a little bit reliant to those words. In the case of like a film like Yojimbo, for example, I feel that there was a great balance in between that of the writing and then the visualizations of what's taking place. With this, I feel like at times it does feel a little reliant towards that screenplay and not having as much of a confidence in the viewer in being able to just see actions take place, seeing visualizations, seeing things literally play out in front of you, allowing the story to quite literally just tell itself. It feels as though that at times that it just lacks that confidence, and I feel that if it were a little more confident in the regard to the viewer, I think that it would actually be a lot more solid. Frankly, as it stands, it still is solid because there are many great elements to be attracted by. Like I said, this pace, which is very steady. It doesn't feel like it's off the like off with the feeling of the story, or with characters or with certain actions that are on display. It all feels well integrated, and it all feels like it's being calculated at the same time. It's not to where things just feel like they're going at a specific rhythm or a certain pace or a certain beat. It all feels well balanced in that regard. Of course, you get some interesting performances here. Toshiro Mifune being the centerpiece of this. Again, as I've echoed before in the past, I think Toshiro Mifune is my favorite performer of all time. And I think it stems from a lot of just what he is quite literally doing as that performer. There's a commanding presence to him in a lot of the roles that he does. And in the case of this, it's no exception to that. He carries that commanding presence. He carries that charisma. He has points where he's genuinely funny, points where he is genuinely threatening and dramatic. He just carries a lot of the range of emotions that a performer should have, and it's translated into almost all of his work. Without Throne of Blood, Yojimbo, Seven Samurai, there are just high and low. There's like varying characterizations that he displays. They're not all one and the same. He's not just stoic. He's not just someone who has just like this very specific look to him. He has something different with each role that he does. With Seven Samurai, he's kind of the goofball. With Yojimbo and Sanjuro, he is that charismatic and stoic type of persona. With High and Low, he is this kind of pretentious prick, but that slowly turns into something quite genuine and nice and very humane at the same time. He just has so much to offer as a performer, and this is no exception to that. I think he is brilliant in this, as well as the other performances. I think that the Nine Samurai, as well as the corrupt lords, I think that they all do a very good job. Some of the women that participate also, I think they do a very good job. It generally is a solid piece of work. With Kurosawa, you don't really get many missteps, I do believe that within the line of work that he has done, this is probably one of his lesser offerings. But in the context of Kurosawa, less being one of the lesser offerings is to say that of the best that is out there in terms of cinematic language, Sanjuro is not one of them, but it's to say that it's still pretty darn good in many respects. I mean, aesthetically, it's gorgeous. I mean, I love the way that he just the framework, how he presents his frames, yeah, within his filmmaking, just the black and white, the tinting is always just chef's kiss. So there's a lot of great qualities that come out of Sanjuro. I just believe that it isn't as dimensional as what we've gotten before with a guy like Kurosawa. It is very specifically about certain things. And in the case of, it does try to explore other areas. Like there's little commentaries about violence and how it relates to Shiro Mifune's character, and perhaps in relation to the context of pacing or patience, and not relying upon impulsive nature. In the case of Toshiro Mifune's character, that would be his impulsions would be that of violent tendencies. But I feel like that kind of gets muddled in some respects. So we're kind of left to very specific thematic qualities here, but generally there's still a lot of good things to see, and a lot of great things to digest, and a lot of things to get invested by. Purely, I would say, to do performances, you still get something pretty good. I mean, it's still something very entertaining, still something very enjoyable, and I think that it also has something valuable to say, just on a social level, on a psychological level. It's got interesting qualities to it. It isn't one of his strongest films, but it's still a good film. And I don't feel like you get any, I don't feel like you get to, at least from the films I've seen of his, you just don't get to any terrible places when it comes to Kurosawa. He is the GOAT for many, many reasons. And Sanjuro, in some ways, can be an illustration of that. Any of Kurosawa's work, I feel like, can illustrate just why the man is just the greatest of all time. Any of these films can also translate why Toshiro Mifune, I believe, is the greatest actor who's ever lived. They just are a unstoppable pair, and Sanjuro is just an extension of that. Maybe not as strong as the other films that I've listed, Seven Samurai, Throne of Blood, etc., but on its own, still very, very good for what it is trying to do. So those are my thoughts on Sanjuro. I really enjoyed it. I think it's pretty good. I don't think that it is as strong as other films that they've done before or would do in the future. I wouldn't say like it's as investing, or sorry, as dimensional as other films previously, but it's still investing, it's still involving, and you still get a great presence in that of Toshiro Mifune, an aesthetic that is still gorgeous. There's still many things that are intriguing and investing and interesting. It's just I wish there was just more meaning to be deciphered, but it's still hella entertaining. But those are my thoughts on Sanjuro. You guys, let me know your thoughts on Sanjuro if you guys have seen it. It's not as good compared to Yojimbo, but still good in many respects. But you guys let me know your thoughts on this film if you guys have seen it. Your guys' thoughts on Yojimbo if you guys are familiar with that film as well. Your guys' thoughts on Kurosawa and Toshiro Mifune. How you guys feel about their work together. It's unfortunate how their relationship kind of faded after a little while. It was kind of unfortunate how things ended there. But you guys know your thoughts on all things Kurosawa and Toshiro Mifune in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye. Of course, my thing had to turn off right when I said that. So, but thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.